Pride of Higara. This is Captain Soban of the fleet, Farron Shah. Looks like you could use a hand. Attention all Sobani, pick your targets and engage.
Hello everyone. Hello. This is Captain Soban. Welcome aboard the Starship at Nobel Prize for another episode, actually a new episode of Sins 2 RPG mod, where, as you can tell, I've implemented the Babalon 5 ships into it, and this is thanks to... Unfortunately, I forget his name, so I'll put it in post. I'm so sorry, man. Your mod is amazing, and I feel really bad. I constantly keep forgetting your name, but that's normal for me. I have a really bad memory when it comes to people's names, and again, I apologize. But thank you so much for letting me use your Babalon 5 assets in my mod. They've been a lot of fun, and I have modified them a little bit for my mod, and I'll explain that a little bit more when we actually get to that point. But anyways,
Scouts have found a colonizable planet.
Oh, we discovered a colonizable planet. Do I still have one of my scouts going out? I thought I told all the scouts to not scout.
Looking for something?
You get over here.
I'll find a way.
But anyways, as you can see over here, I have implemented 5 capital ships that you can construct in my RPG mod in order to try to take over the entire planet. And let me go ahead and activate my research. Oh, and this is all the new research that we have that I've implemented in the mod. This is another reason why it's taken a little bit to get this series going. I'm going to make custom research for the Babalon 5 ships. I just haven't done it yet. But we have the TEC ships, so we have autocannon upgrades, gauss cannon upgrades, missile upgrades, and next is Advent, where we have laser, plasma, and beams, and then after that is the Vasari, where we have wave, pulse, and phase missiles, and then after that we have the Star Wars mod, where we have turbo lasers, ion cannons, and proton torpedo upgrades, and then just point defense weapons. Because I've modified all the point defense systems and all the capital ships to only upgrade with point defense. So like, for instance, the Achaean battlecruiser, it had 3 tags on its point defense weapons, which was point defense, physical, and autocannon. I took autocannon off and just kept physical and point defense, so it doesn't double upgrade anymore. And in engineering, we have our training upgrades for our Advent ships. Then, of course, we have the basic shield, armor, and hull upgrades with regen and hull. I'm kind of debating if I want to separate those, but haven't pulled the trigger on that. And then, of course, our conversions that we had in the last series, hull, armor, and shields. And then we have the diversion, which I've fully implemented, which you can divert your ship's power to certain things to make other things more powerful. So for instance, divert your antimatter regen, your weapon damage, and your shields to do more, to have more speed, to make your fleet faster so you can get to other planets quicker. And then this one does everything and adds it to shields. This one does everything, takes everything off, adds it to antimatter. And this one takes everything off and adds it to weapon damage. As well as the e-generators, I made it to where when you research this, it just increases your maximum antimatter, because regen is based off of the level of your ship, the type of ship, and the diversion metric that you currently have researched. So this just specifically upgrades your antimatter capacity, and then this one upgrades your squadron size instead of maximum amount of squadrons your carriers have. Because maximum amount of squadrons is based off of the ability points you used and the amount of level that your carrier is. So this just increases the amount of units you have per squadron. So then that's a quick rundown of the adjustments I made to research. I've also made some adjustments to civilian, so you can use this to colonize other planets. And colonization in the RPG mod is more or less just to set up forward operations. So like if you find a planet that's very heavily defended and you don't think you're quite ready to fight it off, you can fight it off for a while. And if you want to, you can retreat. Like for me, I have a hard set rule where once I get in the fight, unless I have the ability that allows me to retreat, I cannot retreat. I have to fight that until I actually win. If I don't win, if I lose one of my capital ships, then the run is over. So it's a big risk for me, but you guys don't have to play that way. But anyways, that's enough talking about all the updates I've been doing to the mod. There's way more than that. That's just a very quick summary. But anyways, what I was going to do is I was going to activate my military 1, which sets all the capital ships to the values they're supposed to be for the mod. So you want to make sure you always research this first before you do anything. Because if you think that your ships aren't handling it, that's because I've designed the entire game around this research. So just keep that in mind. Anyways, let's go through our first ship. So the first one is the Omega Destroyer, and I'm quite fond of this. And also, as you guys probably heard, all the Babylon 5 capital ships just have the coal commander sound things to it. So just imagine Captain Soban has been cloned, and he's just the leader of all of these ships. That's how I've been like role-playing it in my head. But anyways, the Omega Destroyer. The Mega Destroyer has 550 durability. It's a pretty large capital ship. I classify it as a heavy capital ship. Like, it's a little bit larger than your typical Sens 2 capital ship. And so because of that, it takes 450 experience points to level up instead of 350. So it's going to require more. It has 550 durability, and I have been doing a little bit of research on durability since they finally implemented it. I mean, it's been implemented for a while, but this version that we're playing, because my mod isn't updated to the current version. I think I'm on 1.4 right now. This was the first version they implemented durability, so I don't know if they adjust it. But basically, it is a damage resistance for armor, hull, and shields, which I personally don't like. I kind of wish durability was just that for hull, but I think it's just their way to help balance out larger capital ships without giving them gigantic health pools like I do. I kind of wish that they made it to where shields gets a flat damage depending on the type of weapon that hits it. So if it's a physical weapon, it might only take 50% or 60% damage. If it's an energy weapon, it will take 100%. If it's an ion weapon, it'll take like 150%. Like, it should take the amount of damage based off the weapon type. Where armor should be durability plus its armor points. So whatever size ship it is, actually I think that's how they currently have it set up. But armor to me should be should always take or have more damage resistance because it's armor. And hull should be have a slight amount of damage resistance depending on the type of ship it is or how large the ship is. It probably would be better if it was the type of ship. So like if it's a frigate, it should have like maybe 2%, no, maybe like 5% damage resistance. Cruisers should have like maybe 7.5%. Capital ships should have 10%. Super capitals maybe 15%. Titans maybe 20%. Starbases maybe 25%. Like something like that. For hull, it should be more of a just flat damage reduction based off the type of ship, and armor should be based off of, you know, your a formula based off of the armor strength. But anyways, that's a completely different tangent. That was some research I've been doing a couple days when I figured out how durability actually works. But just keep in mind that the more durability a ship has, the more flat damage resistance it has, because the durability is based off of the armor piercing rating of whatever weapon is hitting it. And since I kind of made it to where my energy weapons, like especially ion weapons from my turbo lasers, have 0 pierce because they only are supposed to fight shields, they can be a little bit underpowered when they fight large capital ships. When they're not supposed to be, they're supposed to be the opposite. They're supposed to do additional damage. But anyways, again, I'm getting off a tangent, and that's not what we came here for. So anyways, the Omega Destroyer has 16,600 armor and 14,000 hull. It has more armor than hull, and that's because in the Babylon 5 universe, a lot of the capital ships don't have shields. Primarily, my headcanon for this is because Their technology is based off of like maybe 10, 15 years in the future of our own current technology. I don't know if this is true. This is based off of what I've been doing comparing other ships. I've also never watched Babylon 5 before, so I could be just making stuff up. Just keep that in mind. But based off of what I've seen from other capital ships and testing I've been doing, their power plants built into their ships are powerful enough to run weapons, like to run energy weapons and stuff like that, but not powerful enough to run that while running a shield generator at the same time, because I believe they're just giant nuclear engines. I don't think they're fusion reactors at all. If they are, they're very primitive fusion reactors. So yeah, that's why they don't have shields unless they're on ships that have been built more into the future, or larger ships where they have a large enough power plant to run shields and weapons at the same time. So yeah, that's why they don't have shields. That's also why they only have 200 antimatter, because their capacity sucks because of how primitive the technology is. Anyways, the Omega Destroyer does 9.2 DPS with its particle beams, 6.7 DPS with its heavy pulse cannons, 1.7 DPS with its interceptors, which are basically point defense weapons, and 12.5 with its large missile rack. So how I've designed the Omega Destroyer, it's kind of like a jack of all trades. It doesn't really have a whole lot of weapons that are like anti-capital ship, but it's kind of good against everything. It has interceptors to fight against missiles and fighters. The heavy pulse cannons are pretty good against corvettes and frigates. The particle cannons are good against frigates and cruisers. And the missile rack is powerful enough to fight cruisers and capital ships. So it's a little bit of everything. So I've designed it to be more of a balanced battleship. So every time this ship levels, it gets 4% more damage from my mod. Its abilities are giant giga energy mines. So it shoots these big energy mines at its enemies to do a massive amount of damage. So it launches it every 120 seconds or 2 minutes. It costs 50 antimatter, does 500 area damage, has 150 pierce, because I imagine this is more for like frigates, I would assume. Like frigates and cruisers. And yeah. And its next ability is its Earth Force Marine Boarding Party. So it launches several boarding teams against a hostile vessel in an attempt to commandeer it. So this ship can use its onboard Marines to board an enemy ship and take it over. It can do this once every 3 minutes. Again, I don't know why cooldowns always say a minute higher than when I tell it to. I think that's just a Sense 2 thing. And it costs 80 antimatter, so it is expensive to use, but you could use this when you in a fight where you know you're about to win, but you want to capture an enemy ship to help grow your group a little bit. So that might be something we mess around with, because this is a type of ability I usually don't use much unless it's a really unless it's implemented properly. If it's like a mechanic that is completely salvage based, I find it very boring, because I do like to fight the enemy at its full potential, and don't really like to use their firepower against them, because I want to earn that victory. I don't want to just steal that victory from the enemy. It's just part of how I've always played these type of games. That's why my homeworld playthroughs are always really unique, because I don't use salvage mechanics. In fact, I didn't even know. Like, I knew you could build salvage corvettes, but I didn't know you could use those to your advantage to like capture enemy ships. I specifically built salvage corvettes when I used to play Homeworld just to get through the campaign, because you had to get the data recorder from the Car Slim and use it to disable the ghost ship in mission 9, and that was it. That's all I used it for. I didn't know you could use it to capture enemy ships. So I just always kept that mindset even as a kid. The next one we have is Discipline. And this is the Omega crews are well trained and disciplined, which can lead to extraordinary results in battle. Basically, when you activate this, it adds a splash damage to the enemies you fight. So you do a little bit extra damage from all your weapons if the enemies are congruent close to each other. And I have it set to 3% because, again, I scale my ships up to 100. So I'm going to make sure that this doesn't get overpowered once it gets up to like 5, 6, or 7. So this does 3% additional splash damage, lasts 45 seconds, and I believe has a 90-second cooldown. So, again, I don't know why it says 2 minutes. Maybe I set it to 2 minutes. I'm not sure. But it only costs 30 antimatter because it just allows you to do additional damage. And then, of course, his super is Finest Hour. So if he gets really desperate, he can increase his ability cooldown to capture enemy ships faster, use your Gigaton abilities faster, use Discipline more frequently, and increase antimatter regen and hull and armor regen. And this is just copied straight over from the Cold Battleship. So, yeah. And you can use this once every 10 minutes. The next one we're going to be looking at is the Nova Dreadnought, which I think out of all of them is one of my favorites because look at all these freaking cannons this thing has. This thing is just loaded with cannons and missiles. That's all it is, and I love it. I love how heavily specialized the Babalon 5 ships are in order because they're heavily weapon specialized to make up for the fact that they don't have shields. So they do a ton of damage. And again, this is kind of the same size as the Omega class, so I did the same thing. I kind of designed it around the fact it's more of a heavy capital ship, so it requires more experience. I forgot to adjust the durability. That should be 550. I need to make that one the same as Omega. But it has 15,400 armor and 13,000 hull. I also forgot to say that the Omega class moves at 410 meters per second and has 120 armor strength, which is actually more than the Cold Battleship. And the Nova Dreadnought moves 385 meters per second and has 115 armor strength, which is, I believe, the same as the Dreadnought, or the Cold Battleship. Has 225 antimatter, so a little bit more antimatter capacity, but has 18 heavy plasma arrays that do 6.3 DPS at 455 Pierce, 2 interceptors, so not a whole lot of point defense coverage, and 1 large missile rack, which I believe is the same as the Omega, so it has the same missile system as well. And its abilities, again, has the Gigaton energy mines. It also has, I believe this is the, land marine division. So this one is the marine division that lands on planets and colonizes them. So this one is the colonizing capital ship. And then there's 2 other abilities that I added in from my mod and that I've been using for the Star Wars ships. Divert power to weapons, and I also still need to rename these a little bit. So when you activate this, you reduce the weapon reload speed of the plasma weapons by 4%, so that would be the heavy plasma array. And then the other one is the divert power to missiles. So this will reduce the missile reload time by 4% of the L missile rack. And I kind of went like that because this ship to me is a siege ship, also because of the fact it takes over planets. So this one is designed to do a lot of damage. Every time this ship levels up, it will get 6.5% additional damage to all weapons. So when this one gets high, it's going to be quite deadly. And as you probably noticed so far, a lot of these abilities require a lot of antimatter. The big problem that Babalon 5 ships are going to have is just their lack of antimatter capacity. So once you get a lot of research into antimatter, and even, which I forgot to show this off, ships, why can you have a hangar? Oh, that's right, because all I did, you used to have a hangar and I just set the 0. Because all these ships are technically considered carriers. I still need to fix that. But anyways, so for items, I have made it to where for your offensive, you have 2 choices. You have a physical rapid autoloader, which permanently increases the attack speed of all weapons by 2.5% that are physically based. For this ship, that would be Interceptor and the missile rack. And then the other one is the same, but energy-based. So increases the attack speed of all weapons by 2.5% that are energy-based. For this guy, that would be the plasma array. Now, as you also can notice, it says maximum count of 7. You can completely fill these ships out with just autoloaders. So you have a very fast attack speed of all of your weapons and make that ship completely weapon focused if you want to. That's completely up to you, because all of this that I've been implementing is what I would think the I want to have the players make their own decisions. So there is no meta in my mod. I have designed all my ships around all the ships that have been implemented around the fact that I want them to have their specialization, like weapon specialization, antimatter specialization, shield specialization, whatever it is. And you guys can either like go into that specialization to make your ship even more specialized, or you can work around it and like build up its weaknesses so it's more of an all-around good fighter instead of just, you know, glass cannon or heavy tank or whatever it is. It's all up to you. You're the player, so you play the game the way you want. For defensive modules, we have 6 of them, and 3 of them are ones that just increase the maximum points of whatever is selected. So like backup shield generator will increase the maximum shield points by 200. Even though that says 200, be sure to multiply that by 4, because of the fact that the game starts off with additional 300% hull, shield, and armor. So this will actually be 800, and as you do more research, that amount will actually go up more and more and more as the scale it gets higher and higher and higher. So these will become more valuable for later on in the game when you get more research and stuff done. And then the abrasive armor I've changed out to where it just increases maximum hull points, and then core system armor I've been changed out to increase maximum armor points. And then I have second versions of these which I haven't renamed yet, but the second versions increase maximum shield regeneration, and maximum hull regeneration, and maximum armor regeneration when out of combat. At least I hope it's out of combat. I haven't actually tested it. But that will definitely be for later on in the future when our ships start getting really high amounts of armor, hull, and shield points, and it's taking forever for them to repair themselves. So that could be good, or if you have a ship that you know takes a lot of damage and you want it to recover quickly compared to the other ones, like a main tanking ship. So again, you could put 7 of any of these on. You can drastically increase your shields, you can drastically increase your armor or hull, or drastically improve your regeneration. Now also, these are all just tier 1s of the items I'm implementing. I'm planning to implement tier 2, 3, 4, and 5 in the future. And each one is just going to increase the amount of that you put on your ship. So like a tier 1 shield generator gives you 200 times 4 shields. A tier 2 would be 400 times 4. Tier 3 would be 600 times 4. Tier 4 would be 800 times 4, and tier 5 would be 1,000 times 4. So it's gonna scale up that way. And then the other ones we have is the choir, which you can install on your ship to increase additional psi power or spell power, which will be useful for your admin ships. We have the looting crew, which needs to be installed in order for the game to work, because this is how you generate credits. And then the antimatter engine, which I'm going to be renaming to antimatter battery, and all it does is just increase your maximum antimatter on your ship by 50. And again, you can also implement 7 of these for like the Babalon 5 ships if you really need more antimatter to use your abilities more frequently in battle. So yeah, that's all that. I think this first episode is just going to be ship showcasing everything I've adjusted in the series and everything I've adjusted in the mod. We might take them out for a test drive for one or 2 planets, but yeah, we'll see what happens. But anyways, the next ship we have is the Avenger, and the Avenger is the carrier of the ships. Oh, and another thing, if you guys notice that name right there doesn't start with EAC or EAS, which is what the Babalon 5 ships are. That's because I've implemented all of the names from Advent, Visari, and the Star Wars mod, as well as the Babalon 5 mod. So all the names from all of the factions can be randomly picked when you use your capital ships, or when you build them in the future. also with some of the names that I use for my series as well. They're also on there, so they can be. You can randomly get a normal prize or Celestia or Serafina, as well as Princess Marie. I think she's in there as well. But anyways, the Avenger Carrier. So the Avenger Carrier is basically just a giant box full of fighters. That is all the ship is. It is heavily specialized in fighters, and I'll show you more about that here in a moment. But just like the other ones, I put in the same category as the other Babylon 5 ships. It's more of a heavy capital ship. So it takes 450 experience points to level up. And it has 500 durability, which again, I might increase that to 550 to match the other ones. It has a total of 8,600 armor and 17,600 hull. Not much survivability at all. And also has 70 armor strength, so it's gonna take some damage. It's definitely needs to be in the back line providing fire support instead of being up in the front line taking all the damage. Currently it has 2 squadrons. Every carrier in my mod starts off with 2 squadrons. 1 squadron with Thunderbolts and 1 squadron with Star Furies. And we'll go through those here in a minute once we're done with the carrier. We have it has 4 ER dual purpose medium pulse cannons that do 4.8 DPS at 200 Pierce, so it's more for fighting off like corvettes pretty much. Maybe some small frigates, but primarily just corvettes. And then 7 interceptors, so for anti-fighter and anti-missile work. And for its abilities, oh, I guess I should also show that it only has 70 antimatter and has a max speed of 400. And for its abilities, it has veteran pilots, which is one of the custom Babylon 5 abilities. I have modified it a little bit to match what I wanted for my mod. So each time you upgrade this, you increase the weapon damage of all of the carrier's fighters by 5%. It's all the carrier's fighters maximum hull by 15%, and hull regeneration by 5%. So it upgrades them and makes them more of a elite and harder to kill. The second ability it has is called a Focus ECCM array, and this is a focus the ship's ECCM systems on stripping away the shields in an area of effect. So this does a small area of effect. Let's see, how small is it? Actually, it's a decent size. A decent size area of effect that does 200 shield damage to everything around it, and it costs 50 antimatter. How much antimatter do you have? 250, so you have a little bit more than the Nova. And then this also does 0 Pierce because it's only supposed to do shield damage. And then he also has I got rid of the trade module and put in Adapt Drone Armada. So you can use this to increase your maximum squadron, so you can have even more fighters helping out the group. So for this ship, you can increase the maximum squadron as well as make more elite. So this one has both. So these fighters will probably get quite deadly whenever the ship gets higher level. And then for its super ability, it has rapid manufacturing. So every 10 minutes, you would take 145 antimatter, which is pretty much most of the carrier's antimatter pool at this time. Once it gets to level 6, I'll have more. And you can give 24 additional bonus squadrons, or bonus strike craft, which most likely is going to be the Star Fury. Because I noticed that ability takes whatever the first one is, so it's probably going to be Thunderbolts then. Okay. And they'll stay up, and they'll stay around for 2.5 minutes. So, yeah, again, elite fighters, additional fighter squadrons, and rapid manufacturing. This thing, when it gets higher level, is going to be very, very deadly against whatever enemies don't have point defense weapons. If it has point defense weapons, this ship's going to be pretty much useless. Anyways, let's look at the fighters now. I want to see the fighters. I like the design of the fighters. They look really cool. They kind of remind me of primitive X-Wings in a way. But the Star Fury is the one that's weaker of the two. And these, I wouldn't really say these fighters are weak. I would say these are both classified as heavy fighters. Heavy fighters, light bomber hybrids. These ones specifically, I think I designed them to only be heavy fighters because they have one uni-pulse cannon that does 1.3 DPS, and another one that has another one that's a Class FS missile rack, which I believe that stands for Fighter Squadron, and at 2.1 DPS with 10 pierce. So it can go through some armor of the enemy. And these guys have 40 armor points and 25 hull. The other ones are the Thunderbolt, which I believe are the more heavy fighters. These guys have 65 armor and 40 hull. I also need to adjust the durability on these. I kind of forgot to do that. So they have a little bit more survivability than the Star Fury. It has a Gatling Pulse Cannon that does 1.4 DPS compared to the Uni Pulse at 1.3, and the Fighter Heavy Missile Rack that does 2.5 DPS with 20 pierce compared to 2.1 DPS at 10 pierce. So yeah, these guys really aren't any bombers. Aren't any bombers. Yep, those are words. These guys don't really have any bombing capability, but they are quite deadly when it comes to fighting off enemy fighters. And Star Furies come in squadrons of 5, where Thunderbolts come in squadrons of 4. Alright, and now next up on our list is the Warlock, which I think out of all of these is probably my favorite. It's definitely the warrior of the group. And it's a little bit larger than the other ones, so it takes 600 experience points to level up instead of 450, and has 600 durability compared to 550. And the ship is actually more, its reactor, I believe, is large enough to have shields. Although the shields are quite weak compared to the hull and armor of the ship. In fact, it has the lowest amount of HP as well as the lowest regeneration rate, which is quite fascinating because most of the time, even if your shields are weak like in the TEC, your regeneration is usually still the highest. But nope, not with the Babalon 5 ships. That's why I also believe that their shield technology is very primitive and very on the basic side compared to like Star Wars technology. Anyways, the ship has 5,400 shields, 20,200 armor, 16,400 hull, and it also has 135 armor strength, so a little bit more than the Nova and the Omega. Has 3 twin-linked heavy railguns that do 8 DPS. I've also adjusted these values. They do 8 DPS at 700 pierce. 8 twin-linked heavy pulse cannons, which does 5 DPS at 400 pierce. 4 interceptors, so 4 anti-fighter and anti-missile weapons, and 2 class LH missile racks, which I believe is large heavy missile racks that do 15 DPS at 600 pierce, and 21 twin-linked light pulse cannons that do 1.6 damage at 50 pierce. These are, I think, anti-corvette. I don't think they do enough damage or have a high enough pierce to really be anti-frigate, but these are more, I would say, anti-corvette. So this guy is anti-capital, anti-frigate, anti-corvette, and anti-cruiser. He's a little bit of everything. And that's why I think of him as kind of like the Paladin ship. Like he's, I think I designed him to be a battleship. Oh, I also forgot to say that the Avengers as a carrier gets 3% additional weapon damage per level up. I think I set the Warlock to be 5% because it's primarily a battleship. Anyways, also what's cool about the Warlock is its weapons. He has a heavy particle god cannon, which is a beefed up version of the particle cannon that the cold battleship gets. Fires the ship's Angus heavy particle cannon, deals extreme amount of damage but has a long cooldown. So this baby has a cooldown I think of 120 seconds is what I set it to takes 110 antimatter. How much antimatter do you have? 350? Whew. It's a lot of capacity. It is 100 damage per second for 10 damage, so that's 1000 damage at 500 pierce. So yeah, that is a powerful weapon. And then the next one is the Assault Plasma Motor. Fires the Warlock's Assault Plasma Motor once every 1 minute at 60 antimatter cost, does 500 damage at 800 pierce. So this is I would say an anti-armor weapon, where Heavy Particle God Cannon is an anti-hull weapon. And then it also has this, which is Shield Field Feedback. Powerful electromagnetic fields can collapse enemy shields. So this is a weapon that I think launches once every 120 seconds, I want to say. It does say 2 minutes, but we'll find out when we actually use it. Taunt costs 75 antimatter and does 200 damage to 10 targets. It'll hit a target and then it'll chain link additional targets. So it'll do 2000 shield damage altogether. So what I like about this ship: anti-hull weapon, anti-armor weapon, anti-shield weapon. This is why it's a battle cruiser. It has an answer for every type of defense it goes up against. And then it also has this, which I want to try out. Don't know if we'll be able to, because I only have these ships scaled up to 6, but I do want to just test this to see how well it works. Warlock Reactor. The Warlock's gravimetric drive rapidly replenishes the vessel's capacitor banks, ensuring optimal energy throughput for sustained operations. So this ability is similar to the Command Fortress's absorption ability. Actually, I think it's based off of that, where that one it can take incoming fire and then convert it into antimatter. I think that's exactly what this Warlock Reactor does. I don't know if it just immediately restores antimatter when it's used, or as your ship takes damage, some of the damage is converted into antimatter to restore the antimatter batteries. Again, we need to play around with this because I'm not entirely sure based off of the description, but that's its super ability. Now, the very last ship that we have to show off is the Victory. This is the in the coding, this was the Titan of the ships at the time that the author was designing this, but this is more of a super capital. I would say it's a little bit more powerful than a traditional super capital, so that's why I required it to give 1,000 experience points, because it's like 1.2 times a normal super capital. If I put it on its on a grading on it. And this is the most powerful ship that the Babalon 5 team has. It has 650 durability, 11,400 shields, so shields are getting decent now, but there's still not as much as hull or armor, even by the lower ship standards. So it's still fairly weak compared to the rest of the stats, but it has 42,000 armor and 34,600 hull, as well as 165 armor strength, which is way up there. That is a lot of armor strength. Also only moves 260 meters per second. The Warlock moves 365. And the antimatter on the ship has 650. So it's a little bit more than the others, but still kind of weak compared to some of them. Now, the weapons this baby has is a quantum discharge cannon, which is based off of the Babalon Dreadnought's main gun, and it deals a colossal amount of damage. I have also modified this as well. It does 200 damage per second for 10 seconds at a pierce of 1,000. This is a very deadly weapon, but it also costs 150 antimatter to fire, which even at 650, that is a big chunk of antimatter it requires to fire. It also has an ability called Hyperspace Disruption. The Victory partially opens up a rift into hyperspace, which damages nearby ships. I have modified this a little bit to kind of act up a little bit more like Ethereum's ability. So we might change this a little bit in the future depending on how our testing goes, but it takes 90 seconds to activate, costs 100 antimatter, and takes and lasts for 60 seconds, and it does 40 damage per second to everyone within that distortion. So it could do a crap ton of damage, and this would be more useful against frigates, cruisers, and capital ships that won't actually move out of the way. But against corvettes, this is kind of useless since they're always moving. And then the third ability is the Minbari stealth system. Minbari stealth systems make a target lock nearly impossible, leading to hostile ships to miss a few shots. So when you invest in this, there's just a small flat chance that the enemy will miss you whenever they're shooting at you. And I was originally going to make this an ability, but every time I tried doing it, I kept messing up on it. So I was just like, screw it. It's just going to be a flat bonus for now. So you'll get 3% on the first level up, 6% the next level up, 9% the next level up, so on and so forth. And this is a permanent buff, so I try to keep it really low so it doesn't get overpowered over time. And then their final ability is Suppress Enemy Crew. Powerful Babalon technology disrupts the thinking of foes for a moment. This is basically the peace ability that the Achaean battlecruiser has, and I pretty much just copied and pasted it. So every 10 minutes, you can use 200 antimatter to cause everyone to stop fighting each other for 2.5 minutes. So once the ship gets to level 6, you can use it as a way to retreat from battle if you play by my rules. So awesome! And that's all the ships.
Active.
So let's get everyone together. We haven't really explored much. Oh, and as you can see over here, the NPCs, or not the NPCs, but the militia has been completely reworked.
Yes, Commander.
They now
At
have
once.
access to every single ship in the game. Star Wars, the Babylon 5, Vasari, the other ones I can't think of, Advent and TC.
Fleet
Anyways, let's
created.
get everyone into a group. For some reason, the Avenger is the leader of the group. That's totally fine. We don't have to worry too much about the leaders or anything like that, because the Vasari is considered a Titan. It always goes first, or not the Vasari, the Victory. And since the Victory has the highest survivability of all of these ships, I want it to go first. Also,
Ready
I kind of
for
forgot to
battle.
tell the weapons of the Victory, because it's very simple. 4 fusion beams that do 25 DPS at 800 pierce, and 4 turreted fusion beams that do 17 DPS at 800 pierce, as well as 5 anti-fighter weapons. That's it. This thing is a anti-capital ship beast. It has a lot of survivability to tank the incoming damage, and does a crap ton of damage with its beams. I've also classified this as a battleship, so it gets a 5% additional damage every level up. Yeah, let's go take these babies out for a quick test drive.
What do you
I'm
need
gonna
to
grab
know?
one of my scouts. Also, the scouts I've kind of modified. This is just for my for the RPG. Since you won't be able to build new scouts, I just made it to where they have a crap ton of survivability. Since this is your primary way of gaining intel. But once I get everything implemented the way I want, the only ships you're going to be able to build are the capital ships. You're not going to be able to build any type of fighters and cruisers. So I'll make sure that the game spawns 10 scouts so you guys can use that to move around and get some intel on the enemy around us.
On my way.
Anyways, I want to take these ships out for a quick test drive. We're going to test it against a simple tier 1. See how things do.
Comlink
And also,
active.
let's see, let's go ahead and start getting our abilities. The Omega can't start capturing enemy ships until it gets to level 2. So we're going to give you the Gigaton energy mines.
Ready
Nova?
for battle.
I want to give you... probably should give you the ability to capture planets. So let's do that.
Reading you loud and
Avenger,
clear.
I wanted to go ahead and give you an additional fighter squadron. So now you have 10 Star Furies and 4 Thunderbolts. Cool.
Ready for battle.
And you, I think I'm just going to go ahead and start you off with the ability to survive a little bit longer since you are a primary tank.
Good day, Commander.
And victory.
Scouts have found a colonizable planet.
I really want to use your gigaton. Or your god cannon. So we'll get that first.
Where to now?
Just because I really want to say it.
I'm already there.
Alright.
I'll find a way. Preparing for phase jump.
Now, what do we have here? So tier 1s, I believe I have designed to spawn anywhere between 100 and 150 supply, so we have kind of a little bit higher roll, so that's not too bad. We have 5 Acolyte Corvettes, 2 Disciples, 2 Artemis Heavy Frigate, or 3 Artemis Heavy Frigates, 3 Olympus Corvettes, 3 Arquaintance Light Cruisers, 3 Cobalt Light Frigates, 4 Shuriken Gunships, 3 Sulsuric Defensors, and 3 Ravitras Skirmishers. So, yeah, a little bit of everything.
Comlink active.
Alright. Everyone jump together, and let's clear out this first planet.
Easily done.
So yeah, for this series, we're just going to probably do about maybe 4 or 5 episodes showing off the Babalon 5 ships and getting them to level up. Ooh, also, before they go,
Good day,
we
Commander.
need to install our looting crews.
Item complete, Commander.
Otherwise,
Comlink active. Item complete, Commander.
we're not going to be making any money.
Online. Good day, Commander. Comlink active.
There we go.
Ready for battle. Good day, Commander.
And having nothing but the cold battleship voice lines might get a little bit annoying, but hey, maybe one day we'll have custom Babalon 5's voice soundtracks. All right, everyone, let's get into position. All of our fighters are docked.
Plotting jump coordinates.
Here we go. Preparing for hyperjump. What? Victor, you were supposed to go first. That's fine. Next time I'll tell her to go first. Alright. Let's get into combat.
Comlink
So
active.
victory, I want you to focus on the
Start
skirmishers.
making your dinner plans. This won't take long.
Warlock, same
Ready
thing.
for battle.
Focus on the
Start
skirmishers.
making your dinner plans.
Nova,
This won't take long.
I want you to focus on the heavy
active.
frigates.
Our fleet is under attack. Targets in
And
sight.
Omega, you
Let's
focus on the
take 'em
disciples.
out. Good day, Commander.
And all fighters, you
Start making
focus
your
on
dinner
the
plans.
corvettes.
This won't take long. Squad leader here.
Beams.
attack speed. Good day, Commander. Ready for battle.
Alright, you can't
Standing
use your
by.
ability. You don't have an ability.
Ready for battle.
You can use yours. Let's see how well the gigaton energy cannons do. This is so cool. Boom! Oh. I don't know if that actually did any damage. Okay.
Good day, Commander.
What about...
Comlink active.
Good gravy. We're wiping everything out very quickly. We're taking very little armor damage. A tier 1 with this type of group is pretty easy so far.
I'll make this short and sweet.
Alright. So Warlock, I want you to use your big cannon on that boy. I want to see what it looks like. Oh, I got 2 of them. That's cool. Look how much damage it's doing. It's amazing. Alright. I like that gun. That gun is fun. It takes a crap ton of antimatter to use, but it is a fun gun.
Good day, Commander.
Oh, that's also right. I forgot this one just does an area of effect damage. It doesn't hit enemies directly. Okay. So I need to pay a little bit more attention to that.
Active.
Alright, how's our fighters doing? They've taken a little bit of armor damage, but overall they're doing great. How you boys doing? I think I'm going to focus my carrier on just completely supporting fighters. I don't think we really need to worry too much about being an anti-shield user, just because of the fact we have all of these other weapons. God, I love the Warlock. Out of all of these, I think the Warlock is my favorite. Doing good. We got 2,300 resources. We started with 750. That was completely my bad, because I think the Omega had the you know, salvage the resources. You get to keep the resources when the capital ship dies, and I got rid of it and then sold it for 750 credits. But it's fine. In the future, I'm just gonna make sure that those ships don't that our ships that we build don't have that module on them, because there's no point of having it. Because if these capital ships die, the run is basically over. God. Yeah, the Warlock is definitely my favorite. I love the way it looks. It reminds me a lot of the Titan heavy cruiser. I love how many weapons it has. I love its massive power weapons. It's cool. The Victory is cool too. I like the Victory's heavy beams. So Nova took a little bit of armor damage, about 1,000, but still perfectly fine. We were able to wipe that out without much hassle.
Ready for
So
battle.
Nova, you want to?
That's more like it.
Go ahead and take that planet over. And we need to think of names for all of these ships.
Comlink active.
What kind of theme do we want to go with? For Omega...
A new colony has been founded.
Omega, you are now known as Watson, which is a name of one of my dogs I used to have that unfortunately passed away earlier this year. We don't exactly know what happened. He went for a checkup, everything was fine. A week later, he could barely move. We took him back in. He said he might have prostate cancer. A week later, he was gone. So yeah, sometimes life like that happens. So if we're gonna go with animal names, who would Sherlock be? Sherlock would probably be the Dreadnought.
Battle.
So Sherlock, and yes, that's actually how we spell Sherlock. And let's see. I think. Trying to think of all the animal names I've had in my life. The next one I want would be Princess. Princess was my first cat.
Good day, Commander.
Got her when I was 10 years old. We found her in the garage one day. Didn't know who she belonged to, and I ended up taking care of her. And we eventually found the owners of it, and we had to give her back. And I cried that night. And then the day after that, they told us that she attacked one of their babies, and they were terrified, and so they gave her back to me. I'm pretty sure that was a lie, but I was happy I was able to keep her. So Princess,
Comlink active.
I'm gonna make her be the Warlock. And
Good
Isabella,
day, Commander.
which is another cat that we had, that we ended up having for quite some time. was a cat that was donated to us by one of my mom's worker, or one of my mom's employees who was moving out and couldn't keep her because the apartment she was moving to couldn't have pets, so she had to get rid of it. And we ended up keeping her so Princess would have a friend. So I'm gonna name the Victory Isabella. And last but not least, Princess Isabella, Sherlock, Watson.
Standing by.
Who are you going to be named? You're gonna be named Daisy. Daisy was a basset hound we had only for a few years. We bought her. I think we bought her like a year after one of our previous basset hounds passed away, and we really loved the basset hound. Unfortunately, Daisy was one that didn't get the smarts from the gene table. She was quite dumb, but she was cute. And eventually one day, she ended up teaching herself how to dig because our neighbors shot a lot of fireworks, and she ended up digging herself out of our fence, and her collar was left behind, so no one knew who she was. And unfortunately, we yeah, it was one of those situations where, even though we were attached to her and loved her, she was really dumb. So we were kind of thankful that she ended up being someone else's problem. But I do love that dog. That dog was quite fun. Had a lot of fun times in the basement of just messing around with her. But yeah, anyways, that's gonna be our crew. It's gonna be basically all the animals that we used to have. Right now, the only one that we currently have is Sherlock. The rest have passed away either due to old age. They lived a nice, healthy life, but yeah. So yeah, this is going to be a run in honor of all of my animals.
Comlink online.
Anyways,
Done.
we have cleared out our first planet, and now in the next episode, we're going to do a little bit more exploring with our scouts and try to see if we can find a tier 2. We handled a tier 1 without even a breeze, so we got a decent amount of experience. We got about 155 for everyone, so everyone's about 1/3 leveled up to 2. Except for Warlock, which is 1/4, and except for Isabella, which is 15%. So it's going to be interesting because Avenger, or I should say Daisy, Watson, and Sherlock are all going to be leveling up at the same time, where Princess is going to kind of level up at her own pace, and same thing with Isabella. So, yeah. This is going to be an interesting series, and hopefully you guys enjoy it. But yeah, I'm going to go ahead and end this episode here. Hopefully you guys enjoy the series. I know I just said that, but I'm trying to do my outro. But hopefully you guys have a good rest of your day, and if you like this video, please leave a like. If you like what I do, consider subscribing, and I'll check you guys out in the next video. Until then, this is Captain Soban signing out.
The Faker have arrived. Emergency hyperspace procedures initiated. The mothership must survive.